I think I might lose it here. We are live. Welcome to college football's peek around the corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We covered everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do us well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Make sure you ring the notification bell because you do not know, I do not know, nobody knows when we're going to come on live next to cover everything in college football. Make sure you ring that notification bell. If you want to support this independent, national, rebel outpost of college football, and it truly is, with a donation to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel, just hit that dollar sign where you make your comments, and I will get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody in to the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Very discouraging information coming out of Ross Dellinger this morning. Very discouraging information coming from more than a handful of people that I reached out to this morning. What the hell is going on? Don't you understand? Don't you understand, Maria Cantwell and Ted Cruz? Don't you get it yet? They're not bluffing. They've never been bluffing. We did it. We did a DEFCON 1. I know, look, I get it. We are the most unpopular national college football YouTube channel in the country. Maria Cantwell and Ted Cruz aren't watching our program when we did a DEFCON 1 show about a year ago. All this has been real. Greg the Grifter, Greg the Grifter, Greg the Grifter, just trying to bring drama into the college football world. Don't you know? Don't you know that the autonomous subdivision, separation, the D1 council, that the Power Four, they're working together, and all this is just leverage and trying to get their own way with the votes in these subcommittees of the committee of the subcommittee of the committee of the subcommittee. Even up until now, people don't believe that the Southeastern Conference is serious. If you Ross Dellinger, and I know, look, we're all we all make mistakes. None of us know everything. I get it. Ross Dellinger is not to be all, to get all of everything. I get it. But man, he is. There are others. There's a lot of that. We just did a show. We did a live show saying the more severe breakaway is getting more viable. Ross Dellinger he put out an article this morning. But that is not, and that's that's the story that we're going to cover. But it's this follow-up post that is absolutely 100% true. His follow-up post to his article this morning is 100% true, and yet I don't think Maria Cantwell, Ted, they definitely do not understand what's about to happen. And there's a segment of the college football fan base that is sitting out there going, they're still not getting it. Why? A revised Senate bill needs to pass. And you're still screwing around with the sovereignty of the Big Ten and the SEC in this bill? If it is true, and I don't think Ross Dellinger reported something that he doesn't think is true. If it's true that this revised bill is going to make it possible for Washington State to be picked up by the Big 12, which I think that possibility should be there, or by the ACC, or reformation of another conference. Freedom of association. But yet, not quite give the Southeastern Conference equal sovereignty. They're still monkeying around with this. I don't know. We're going to go through the article, and I'm going to have I've asked this question. I have not got an answer from anybody, because there is no answer. I think a breakaway is incredibly scary. It is uncharted waters. It may not work. It may not work in the courts. It may not work in the conference. It may decrease the value of your conference in the years ahead. But I got this one question. I got two questions. What is the Southeastern Conference supposed to do? Like, what are their options? If we cannot get a bill that passes where there is some antitrust protection, where they can enforce the NCAA and all of FBS, all of college sports, can create rules and enforce them, what is these conferences supposed to do? What is the Southeastern Conference supposed to do? What is their other option? There is none. I think a bait and switch is about to be pulled here. According to Ross Dellinger's report this morning, yeah, they're going to tinker some with the non-expansion part of the bill, but not entirely. And then Ross Dellinger laid out a warning. Ross Dellinger laid out a warning. A warning that we at Peek Around the Corner, college football's Peek Around the Corner, we've been putting out this warning for a long time. I have been screaming in this microphone. The Southeastern Conference, before it was reported by Ross Dellinger, we at Peek Around the Corner, we reported to all of you that the Southeastern Conference was serious about a potential breakaway. We've done a number of our live shows on it. When we started doing this, 90% of the chat, 80% of the chat said, no, this can't happen. 70% went down to 60%, about half and half, and now almost everybody understands in PATC country that this is a definite possibility. It's serious. Ross Dellinger laid out a warning. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna show you it. That the SEC has got Plan B prepared. And it might involve. And there's a reason why Ross Dellinger slipped this in his post. It might involve the SEC only playing with SEC teams. The most extreme breakaway is on the table, just like we announced a few days ago on a live show, because that is the reality of all this. The Southeastern Conference is working on their own, trying to figure out their own player compensation, representation for the players. Call it a CBA, call it whatever you want to call it. They're working on their own stuff here. Just in case they have to flip the switch on a Plan B. And you've got Cantwell and Cruz still playing with this. And for what? Well, who are you trying to protect? I don't even understand it. Who are you trying to protect? I get it. I understand. I do get the frustration. You know, why does this conference have the major advantage over that conference? Why does that university have a major advantage over that university? Why does that university have $250 million in revenue and that university has 120? Why does that university able to fill up a 70,000 seat stadium and that university only can fill up 35,000? The answer is because. The answer is life is not fair. The answer is it's always been that way. It's always going to be that way. Why do my beloved Golden Gophers always get crushed by the Buckeyes, by the Ducks, by the Michigan Wolverines, by the Nittany Lions? Because it's always been that way, and it's always going to be. What are you trying to legislate here? Are you going to try to legislate that the Golden Gophers can complete a forward modern day pass? What are you trying to do? What is the goal here? The goal is control, isn't it? You think the Southeastern Conference wants anybody to control the Southeastern Conference other than those 16-member institutions, which is a private, non-profit organization? You gotta be out of your bleeping mind. The Southeastern Conference might fall within the next 20 years. They might fracture within the next 15 years. The same thing with the Big Ten. We don't know the future, but let's not try to govern the future by a whole bunch of people who have really never sat down and watched a college football game. But at the end of the day, why are people not understanding this threat? The Southeastern Conference is ready to break away, which could very well hurt them. Or it might help them. And you don't want either one. You don't want either one. Because the Southeastern Conference breaks away, and they're going to expand, and if it's a success, well, that's going to hurt everybody else. If the Southeastern Conference breaks away and they fail, that's going to hurt anybody. That's going to hurt everybody else. I don't know why it is so difficult for people to grasp that this is all real. And it is incredibly dangerous. It is incredibly dangerous. We do not know the ramifications of this. Southeastern Conference, only playing Southeastern Conference in football, that's terrible for the sport. That is unbelievably bad for the sport. And if the Southeastern Conference breaks away and they make it work, and they're going to have that next big, massive TV deal, and they're going to make it work, and they make it work. Let's do the roll call. We are going to cover this story. This is going to be a one-story emergency live show. So I apologize to the San Diego State Aztec. We are not doing a spotlight on the Aztec on this live show. We are planning at this time to go live again later on today. We are planning on it. I was not exactly sure there is a lot of stuff that is going on in the chatter. Unfortunately, I truly believe that Ross Dellinger's reporting is 100% accurate because what he's reporting is coming from other sources. And I can't believe that Maria Cantwell, and for those who are Maria Cantwell and Ted Cruz supporters and are sensitive to the fact that somebody might rip on them, you might want to mute the next 10 seconds. Cantwell and Cruz, man, you're out of your mind. You are swimming in deep waters. What you are about to enact, what you are about to set off, you're not going to be able to control it. Unless you do treat every conference the same in your stupid bill. Don't be targeting the South. Do not restrict the Southeastern Conference. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't restrict the Big Ten. I know it sounds good. I know it gets you money in your coffers. I know there's people that support it because of the unfairness of it all. But if you're going to try to restrict the sovereignty and the freedom of association of the Southeastern Conference, you are going to set off something that you're not going to be able to control. So this is going to be a one subject live show. We're going to go through the Ross Dellinger article, and then we're going to post the warning that Ross Dellinger put out there for everybody to see. And he did it on purpose. He did it on purpose. Heartbreak 25, $5 holla. Yes, Florida State will have high TV ratings in another losing season. Rinse and repeat this daily argument. The Big Ten still won't care. Can we settle this debate? We're not going to be able to settle this debate today, but thank you, Heartbreak 25, for the $5 holler. Appreciate your generosity. Thank you so very much. Appreciate it, sir. And also, they are restricting the ACC and the Big 12. That's how I look at it, Mama Duck. Well, yes and no. Yes and no. We're going to go through the Ross Dellinger article right now. Before we get into all that, there was a Edward the Auburn Tiger and OPD done, and there've been, but especially Edward the Auburn Tiger wanted me to. This is some of the things that I posted. Just a couple of them. Back in the day of Oklahoma and Texas, May 19th, all the way back to 2017, BTM, Big Ten Man and his associates, the Money Perch, ESPN created the LHN, Longhorn Network to keep Texas out of the pack of the Big Ten. ESPN and the SEC will go all out to keep the Big Ten out of Oklahoma, keep the Big Ten off Texas border, and ESPN and SEC succeeded. This was July 18th, 2019. The Southeastern Conference is about to get paid massively. The bidding war on SEC's Tier 1 football is going to be historic. Oklahoma and Texas are watching. Now, there was not a bidding war on the SEC's Tier 1. I got that incorrect. Because as CBS went out to the wayside, ABC, Disney, massive tier 1 contract to the Southeastern Conference. Oklahoma and Texas were watching, and they made the move. I just wanted to bring that up. Let's do a quick roll call here. Yogi Buck is in the house. Azon the Kid, Buckeye Greg, Daryl is here. Christopher Huda. Stephen Timothy Vitt is in the house. Mayor McCheese, Morris Simmons, Marcus Williams. Thank you, Heartbreak 25. Once again, appreciate it. Mr. Monkey says, it's seriously insane. The Irish is in the house. And none of this helps Notre Dame. None of this helps Notre Dame. Old Dad is in the house. Chris Brown is here. The SEC needs to stop crying. I get it, but we're way beyond that point. We are... Again, we're way beyond that point. I don't think people get what's going on here. And it's my fault because I have done a bad job of explaining for months. I have not been able to get through everybody on this. This is all real. Doors have been... Please break away. Talk is cheap. I love all of you. Truly, I love each and every one of you. I love you. I love you. But you don't want this. You don't want this. Preston from Greensboro is in the house. Don't eat the lettuce in Minnesota. We're not eating it. We're not eating it. Not right now. Jimmy Austin is here. Esbitox is here. CBS Plus is here. Daniel Gorby, the architect. Mabada Clemson Tiger. Antoine Johnson. Minnesota gets crushed because they're not committed. If they started spending at the top, they'd stop getting crushed. Okay. Love you, Antoine Johnson. Love you, Anton. Every other team is getting crushed by the Buckeyes. Okay. Canes fan is in the house. Lee Barden is here. Thanks for coming on in. Buckshot Kid. Thomas Moss. Greg, the actual intention of the bill is to limit the Big Ten and the SEC. No, that should not be the... Well, it is, but that should not be the intention. It's protect the college sport. It's to try to save and protect college sports. The commissioners together, all the commissioners of all the conferences, lobbied hard to get the SCORE Act in. They could not get a vote on the House. That wasn't limiting the Big Ten and the SEC. These conferences, these schools want to be able to, under a huge umbrella, be able to enforce their rules. They need the protection from Congress. If they're not going to get the protection from Congress, they're going to go silo. And how can you blame them from going silo if you can't get the protection from Congress? This was never about going and get the Southeastern Conference and ripping them apart. It became that, though, didn't it? It became going after the Big Ten. And then, when the Southeastern Conference is preparing for the breakaway, people are going, well, they shouldn't do that. What do you want them to do? Just lay down? You expect them to lay down? Of course they're not. They're going to break away. Elena, Ted, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it. Tom DeBay. Jermaine Jackson is in the house. Cruz Corner is here. Possible parameters. Possible parameters. We don't know what the parameters are, but it was that next post from Ross Dellinger. Osceola Trucker, $2 holler. Thank you so much, Osceola Trucker. Appreciate it. The SEC breakaway accelerates the ACC demise. It probably does, but we're not 100% sure, because the Southeastern Conference, they might have to try to figure out how to best govern themselves by the 16 universities that they do know. It might accelerate it, it might slow down, but if the Southeastern Conference breaks away and play only Southeastern Conference teams, the ramifications of this are unending. And yet, Cruz and Cantwell want to play this game. They want to play with fire. They want to light the match. They want to light the match, and you've got people in the Southeastern Conference that want to pour gasoline after you light the match. You've got Donde Plowman, the Tennessee chancellor. She's been working on all these things on how to make this work. If the Southeastern Conference breaks away and it works, well, you're not going to get that toothpaste back in the tube. Christopher Hooter, $5 holler. Woo, boy. If SEC silos need to expand to at least 22, gives them way more scheduling options, more sane geographical dominance, yet stays under the monopoly radar. Yeah, all that is, how far can you go before it become market power? I think it would have to be pretty extensive, as long as the Big Ten, as long as there's other options for the student athletes. The problem with the NCAA representing all of us is that the courts are saying you've got all market power. Student athletes do not have other options. So therefore, they're not giving the NCAA and all the member institutions any credibility. In the Ivy League case, in the Alston case, the courts say a conference, one singular conference, can make their own rules and enforce their own rules. So we'll see how it happens. We'll see what happens. Thank you, Christopher Hooter. Thank you once again for your $5 holler. Osceola Trucker, Heartbreak 25. Thanks for starting us off today. Now let's go into the article. Because people are waking up this morning. They're looking at this live show and they say, what happened? What has changed? What has changed? Let's go through this. We're going to go through the article. And then we're going to show the next post of Ross Dellinger after this article. And then we're going to take your phone calls, your super chats. Congress looks to rewrite the college sports bill in high stakes push to win SEC and Big Ten support before the time runs out. Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports. Lawmakers are working towards revisions to the Protect the College Sports Act in an effort to gain the support of major stakeholders within the industry. That includes adjusting the bill's expansion concept to permit non-power conference schools to join, if invited, the Big Ten, the ACC, the Big 12, and SEC, according to Senator Maria Cantwell, a Washington Democrat and co-author of the legislation with Cruz and Schmidt. So, a Tulane could join the Big Ten, but a West Virginia could not join the Southeastern Conference in accordance to the adjusting of the bill's expansion concept. Now, again, I might be completely unfair, right? Great. You're being we have not seen the revision yet of the bill. True. But that paragraph early on, highly suspicious. Let's go further into the article. I want teams to be able to move where they want to, like Washington State. I want teams to be able to move where they want to, like Washington State. Cantwell told Yahoo Sports on Thursday in the U.S. Capitol. We'll get an adjustment to that language. That the change is one of the many under discussion among Cantwell and lawmakers as they work on a revised bill with the goal of garnering support from the SEC and the Big Ten, the industry's most valuable stakeholders that have so far opposed the legislation as currently written. The discussions unfold at a pivotal time for the future of college athletics on Capitol Hill. Time is of the essence. A short window over the next 3 weeks exists for the legislation to move to the U.S. Senate floor before lawmakers break for a month-long recess on August 7th. This week brought a flurry of communication between the three senators and college stakeholders and potential bill revisions, including direct conversations with commissioners of the Big Ten and the SEC. In a call with multiple conference commissioners on Tuesday, in fact, Cruz expressed the plan for a Senate floor vote as soon as next week, an ambitious but not impossible task. A more realistic timeline is the week of July 27th or August 3rd. However, the bill's fate may depend on the support from the SEC and the Big Ten, which is contingent on revisions that lawmakers are actively exploring. For many college football fans, the bill's anti-expansion provision was one of the most jarring concepts within the legislation. The original language of the provision froze power conference membership at its current state, rendering it impossible for those from the football subdivision mid-major six conferences, the American, the Sun Belt, the Pac-12, Conference USA, MAC, and the Mountain West to move upward. An impending change to the provision would give those programs the ability for promotion, according to Cantwell and other lawmakers and staff members who spoke to Yahoo Sports. So the provision, an impending change to the provision, it's going to happen pretty soon here. It could happen today. It could happen during this live show where we're going to get the formal revisions of the bill. Schools in the American, the Sun Belt, the Pac-12, Conference USA, MAC, and the Mountain West could move upward. But I guess schools in the ACC cannot. I guess schools in the Big 12 cannot. Now, great. Again, you might be being unfair here. We haven't seen the revised bill yet, great. Again, You could be correct. But why is it written in the way that it's written in this paragraph? We go further on. And this is the PATC money shot of the article. PATC money shot of the article. In addition to that, the revision may provide flexibility for power conference programs to move to other power leagues, such as those in the ACC in the Big 12, shifting to the SEC in the Big 10. But those moves may only be made within a certain framework of parameters yet to be formalized. Now, what the hell does that mean? But those moves may only be made within a certain framework of parameters. They're playing with fire, man. They are absolutely, I still don't think they understand. I get it. The Southeastern Conference is evil. The Big Ten is the evil empire. But the SEC and the Big Ten have made it known that, however, all the conferences should be treated the same within this federal bill on private, nonprofit organizations, what these conferences are. And if they're not being treated equal, the Southeastern Conference has made it known, the Big Ten has made it known, they're working on it. They're going to break away from this. They're going to fight this all the way. Why are you creating parameters around the Big Ten and the SEC? Why are you restricting, to at least some extent, the freedom of association for the SEC and the Big Ten and some of the ACC and Big 12 schools? And I get it. A lot of people watching the show are going, right on, man. Right on. Put that in the bill. Go after the SEC and the Big Ten. Fair enough. But then don't be like, well, SEC, they Breakaway. They're not going to break away. Go ahead and break away. You can't have one without the other at this point. You want to play with fire, you're going to get burned in this. Everybody could get burned in this. But those moves may only be made within a certain framework of parameters, yet to be formalized. It's like they're running around. They're trying to keep in good graces with Cody Campbell. And they're trying to get the SEC and the Big Ten on board. You can't do both. You cannot do both. Either all the conferences are treated equal in this federal bill when it comes to their sovereignty, or they're not going to be all treated equal. And those that are not treated equal, like the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten, they've been working on their breakaway plan for months, as we reported to you every single bleeping day. The revision is also expected to include language prohibiting third-party entities such as private equity groups from forming a super league by poaching 20 of the 30 biggest brands. As of Thursday evening, last night, Lawmakers had not finalized many of the revisions as they continue to undergo changes. Once finalized, they're expected to be sent to the leaders of the SEC and the Big Ten, as well as other conference offices. There is more to the article, but this is the one, this is the part that this is the most serious one. The revision may provide flexibility for power conference programs to move to other power leagues. They should not be given this flexibility. They should already have it. They should have it just like anybody else. In addition to that, the revision may provide flexibility for power conference programs to move to other power leagues, such as those in the ACC and the Big 12, shifting to the SEC and the Big 10. But those moves may only be made within a certain framework of parameters, yet to be formalized. Holy smokes. They're about to light the match. And when they do, the Southeastern Conference is going to throw the gasoline right on that match. Here is Ross Dellinger's post about 15 minutes after he put out that article. This is Ross Dellinger's post about 15 minutes, 20 minutes after he published that article. It is a critical juncture in the history of the college sports industry. Now, I want everybody to read with me the following words. Without passage of a revised Senate bill, SEC leaders are preparing Plan B, a self-governing model in which the league enforces its own rules and perhaps even competes against its only owned members. I don't know what else needs to be said. Without passage of this revised Senate bill, without passage of a revised Senate bill that the Southeastern Conference can support, the leaders are preparing Plan B. They are preparing it. They've been doing it for months. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. It's not the Southeastern Conference leaders possibly might go to a self-governing. They're preparing it. Because what other options do they have? You know, we're getting closer and closer and closer to a revised Senate bill that the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten can support. But now, here we sit in here on a Thursday night, last night, to the point where Ross Dellinger had to put out this article. And they're still screwing around with this Section 205. They still want to treat the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten differently than the other conferences, which I get it. Some college football fans are cheering that on. I get the emotional part of it. But the fact is, the Southeastern Conference is going to break away. And and why do you think Ross Dellinger put in a self-governing model in which the league enforces its own rules and perhaps even competes against its only own members? because all that is real. It's a real threat. It's not even a threat. It's real. And you know, if the Southeastern Conference does the breakaway, of course the Big Ten's going to do their own breakaway. And then they're going to have their own rules and their own governance. And then eventually, maybe it will happen right away with the Southeastern Conference says, we're only going to play against each other. Then if they do that, the Big Ten may do that. Or maybe not. Maybe they play a game here and there with Big 12 and ACC. But again, is this the college football world that we really want? We want everybody to go in their silos and only play each other? For most of us, that's absolutely brutal. That's not the college football that we want. And then, I'm sorry, Notre Dame. I don't know what else to say about Notre Dame. If the Southeastern Conference goes in its silo and only plays Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten does this, good luck. Good luck, Notre Dame. Good luck, Notre Dame, keeping your quasi-football independence. Good luck to the Big 12 and the ACC. Because if the Southeastern Conference value goes down, and it may, we are uncharted waters. We don't know how this is going to work. Your value is going to go down. The Southeastern Conference may do an extreme large scoop like the Florida State Money Perch just warned us about. Everything that the Florida State Money Perch, that last update, and yet there are people still out there going, well, you know, none of this is going to happen because we got the Division I Council subcommittee of the committee, the subcommittee, they meet every week and they've got voting rights and they're working together. Greg, it's not DEFCON 1. Greg the Grifter, it's not DEFCON 1. It's never been DEFCON. Everything's fine. And now we're up to this point. So let's say that Cruz and Cantwell, we're pretending here. We're speculating. We're speculating. For those who do not understand the word speculation, we're just going to pretend for a moment. Let's pretend for a moment that the Cruz and Cantwell, they fiddle around with this bill. They're trying to. Nothing is quite done yet, and they put in these parameters where they massage it a little bit here, a little bit there, going, yeah, the SEC and the Big Ten, they can expand, but they have to do it in a certain way and certain time frame and all this other garbage. Big Ten and the SEC, they cannot support the bill because they're not being treated the same as the other conferences. I don't know how more clear the SEC and the Big Ten can be when they keep saying that. So the Southeastern Conference then breaks away. And they're going to form their own rules. They're going to enforce their own rules. They do not know how the Big Ten is going to enforce their own rules. They don't know how the ACC is. They don't know how the Big 12 is. They surely don't know what Notre Dame's going to do. The SEC is going to enforce their own rules. Now, what about this college football playoff, the Army of 24? An attempt by PATC to try to keep us all together. to try to create more access, to try to create more democratization. We supported the Army of 24 when it was 1% in the polls. What about that? You think the Southeastern Conference is going to agree to a playoff of 24 teams if they're going to their own silos, playing 12 conference games, not knowing how the playoff committee would even handle that? Come on! Cruz and Cantwell! You can't be this stupid! Get rid of Section 205. You're trying to protect and save college sports. You're about to blow it up. You're about to blow it up because life is not fair. Because the Texas Longhorns are the Texas Longhorns. And UTSA are the Roadrunners. Because the Rice Owls are the Rice Owls and Texas A&M are the Aggies. Because Washington State was left behind. It was terrible what happened to Washington State. It was also terrible that Pac-12 did not include Oklahoma in their expansion plans with Texas. It was also terrible that the Pac-12 did not expand with Central Time Zone schools. It was also terrible that the Pac-12 did their Pac-12 network without greasing the skids with a major media company. We've all made a bunch of mistakes. Some of us have made way more mistakes than others. But if you're going to have government govern this thing, the number of errors and mistakes is going to make this look like child's play, what we've done in the last 30 years. In a federal bill, you cannot treat some private, nonprofit organization conferences different than you treat others. Forget about the parameters. Get it out of the bill. Get it out of the bill so the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten can support this bill. So we can have certain rules, like one transfer, 5 to play 5. So we can have we can establish something here. So we can provide more opportunities for the student athletes. But you want to play this game where you're going to treat some conferences different than others. Well, those conferences that are treated differently, they're going to bolt. They're gone. They're bye-bye. And for the ones who still do not get it, who believe this is a false, empty threat, I invite you to join us at Peek Around the Corner. Give us a phone call today, tomorrow, the next day, and especially on the day when the Southeastern Conference announces they're gone. Azon the Kid. Anyone talking about blowing up the sport because the conferences won't be able to poach and kill other conferences doesn't actually care about the sport. I love you, Azon the Kid, but I do care about the sport. I love college football. I don't believe in restricting private nonprofit organization from their freedom of association. I don't think that solves anything. Not to mention the fact, if you want that government to do what you want them to do, it's going to absolutely destroy any innovation in college sports. The Big 12, they poached the Pac-12. You might think because for their survival. The Big Ten did not want to lose market space to the SEC. So they took USC and UCLA, then Oregon and Washington. The SEC, they felt that they had to take Oklahoma and Texas because Oklahoma and Texas called them. If the Southeastern Conference would have said no to Oklahoma and Texas would have called the Big Ten. So then you might want to blame Oklahoma and Texas. Well, Oklahoma and Texas called the SEC because why? Because they knew that in the next 5 to 6 years, the student athletes were going to start to get paid. The fact of the matter is, when you have freedom of association, memberships within a private non-profit organization, those memberships are going to change. The economics of consolidation could change into the economic of fracture. The Big Ten could fracture 10 years from now. Do you really want a government rule that says that the Buckeyes cannot leave the Big Ten? What if the Big Ten goes downhill, like just collapses? The Buckeyes can't leave the Big Ten? The Georgia Bulldogs, the LSU Tigers cannot leave the SEC? You cannot limit freedom of association, in my opinion. Southeastern Conference is not evil, y'all. Don Scruggs. Cleocott forgot his password and can't enter the chat. Hudson says, I'm with Azon. A lot of people are with Azon. A lot of people are with Azon. So whose fault is it? It's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. There's been changes to conferences and college sports since 1876. There's more changes after I'm dead and buried, and you guys are in the chat room with another college football YouTube channel. You're going to be talking about the changes that are going on then. But hopefully it's with freedom of association in mind, that the member institutions have their say in what happens, not a government entity. The creation of the Big Ten Network was innovative. And 99% of the college sports fans thought it was a ridiculous idea. College football reporters absolutely blasted it. But it worked. We don't know what the next idea is. We do not know when the next Big East basketball conference that is going to be formed like in the 1980s. We have no idea what's going to happen next. And it should not be contained by parameters in a federal bill. Greg called us cheaters. Some of you guys need to Google how many conferences have been in existence over the last 120 years and then come back in the chat if this is all new. Not only that, but since I started this YouTube channel, I've had well over 100 comments. Well over 100 comments. I'll just keep it at 100. I'll just keep it at 100 comments. We've had well over 100 comments that have said, Greg, you know, Greg, that Minnesota, they should not be making the same amount of money as Ohio State. You know, Greg, that the top half of the Big Ten could leave Minnesota behind. You know, Greg, Minnesota does not deserve to be where they are. You know, Greg, that Minnesota might have to join the ACC and the Big 12 in the years ahead. And you know what I've said every time we have received a comment like that in the comment section? I said, you're absolutely correct. All of that could happen. One of those could happen. Two of those could happen. Absolutely. Absolutely. There is nothing that should be written in a government stone that says the Buckeyes have to remain a conference member of the University of Minnesota. I think that is the most ridiculous. I'm going to use Minnesota because I don't want to, again, offend anybody else. I'll just offend the Golden Gophers. Why should Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, why should anybody be permanently connected to the University of Minnesota against their will? Of course they shouldn't be. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. An athletic conference, a non-profit private organization. Nobody should force the Buckeyes to beat my Gophers on a football field. So then use that logic and spread it around the country. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's like saying that the University of Minnesota has to permanently have these relationships with certain institutions in regards to medical research. The University of Minnesota is on the leading cutting edge, and they have been for decades, on medical research. It goes from all the way to Mayo Clinic in Rochester, all the way up to the northern Minnesota Duluth, the state university system in the University of Minnesota. We are the leading cutting edge of cancer research, and we invite other Big Ten schools to do stuff with us. But we don't have to sit here and keep doing the same. University of Minnesota can make different decisions. These are public universities. They're regulated by the government, by the state government. But they're not run by some governor or lieutenant governor. They make decisions. These athletic departments, these athletic conferences, their decisions are theirs. And Cruz and Cantwell believe, I don't know what they believe. Remove federal funding from colleges that don't want to follow established rules. What established rules? You know, if you take away the federal funding from the University of Minnesota, which can happen and it's been cut at times, it's not like another university can pick up what the University of Minnesota has been doing. I mean, whatever. I don't even want to get into that. Osceola Trucker, $5 holler, $5 holler. Carolina and Virginia want some words with you about university athletics ties, Greg. I don't quite know what that means, Osceola Trucker. I apologize. Thank you for the $5 holler, though. Thank you for your support. Very much appreciated. Again, thank you all for joining us on this live breaking news show. The Southeastern Conference breakaway inches closer to reality. Thank you, Osceola Trucker. I appreciate it, sir. North Carolina and Virginia they do have a lot of ties with each other. No question about that. Again, I want to post this Dellinger post. It is critical juncture in the history of the college sports industry. Without passage of a revised Senate bill, the Southeastern Conference leaders are preparing Plan B, a self-governing model in which the league enforces its own rules and perhaps even competes against its own members. So it all gets back to this. For those who believe that the government should squeeze the Big Ten and SEC, what do you expect the Southeastern Conference to do? What are you expecting? That's the point that I get, it's unfair what things are happening in college sports. Student athletes are getting paid money. It's unfair that some schools make more media money than others. It's unfair that some schools have billionaires and others don't. It's unfair that some schools have had a football program for 100 years and some of us has only had a football program for 50 years. It's unfair that some schools have 800,000 alumni base and some only have 230,000 alumni base. It's unfair that some of these schools are in the South and have recruiting grounds all around them, and some of us are in the North and we can't find a football player anywhere. It's unfair! It's unfair! It's unfair! So let's have the government figure it all out. What do you expect the Southeastern Conference to do? Did you really expect them just to lay down? Do you expect the Big Ten just to lay down? The Big Ten has been here since 1896. You expect them to take this bill and say, oh, well, golly gee whiz, a federal bill treating us different like they treat the other. We'll just take it. The Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten, their economic growth has surpassed, they've become bigger than the NCAA. The Southeastern Conference thinks they can make it work. They might be wrong, but they think they can make it work. And if the quick strike has to happen, well, don't blame the fat guy from Minnesota for warning everybody. Cruz and Cantwell, man, they're lighting a match. They're lighting a match, and the SEC is holding a canister of gasoline. And this thing's going to blow. And where the winds take the flames, I have no idea. The South, I'm gonna tell you guys something. I'm gonna tell you guys something. Unfortunately, I know that not all the doors have been open to me. Enough of them have been. They're not all. The Southeastern Conference The Southeastern Conference has been leaking. A lot of it's cloak and dagger. No question about it. We're starting to learn more and more about what is happening when it comes to hot bubble of action stuff. But the Southeastern Conference has been leaking this silo stuff for well over a year. So when we came on live and did the old DEFCON 1, SCC at DEFCON 1, and we got raked over the coals by a bunch of characters on X who actually don't know what the hell they're talking about. We knew at that point this was all very real. This were not empty threats. When we gave you the information about a month ago on the SCC, that the whole player compensation stuff, I cannot imagine. I can understand if you're somebody out there who doesn't like the Southeastern Conference, doesn't like the Big Ten, and you're going, go ahead and break away, go ahead and break away, make my day. I get the emotional aspect to that. And I also understand the intellectual aspect of it, thinking that the SEC and the Big Ten might not be able to make it work. Because I feel a lot of that. They might not be able to make it work. But what if they do make it work? That's... But if you're somebody out there who doesn't think any of this is real, that this has all been a grandstand play, that this has all been pretend, that the reporters are working for somebody, that I'm working for a puppet. I'm talking about you, Immaculate, and other people like you. There are no words to describe this type of thinking. Sometimes you got to believe what is actually being said. Sometimes not everything is a grand conspiracy. Sometimes somebody tells you the truth. Over a year ago, we told you all the truth. In 2022, 2023, 2024, when we said the breakaway wasn't going to happen before 2025. But after that, we put it on X. I've showed you guys the polls. When we did live show after live show after live show talking about this, we were telling you the truth. And now here we are, and we could avoid this by just taking out Section 205 to give everybody protection. The Southeastern Conference would not get more protection than the ACC. The Big Ten would not get more protection from the Big Ten. We're looking for everybody to get the same antitrust protection. For everybody to be under the NCAA umbrella with antitrust protection. To make our own rules, to enforce our own rules. But yet we can't have that. We can't have that because life is unfair in college sports. It's always going to be unfair. We're going to go to your phone calls. We got a $5 we're going to go to phone calls in your very kind super chats. Very much appreciate it. Lee Barden, 4883. This whole argument comes down to freedom of association, as he said. Imagine legislators trying to rewrite the Constitution. Great show. Now, don't get it twisted. Freedom of association is not directly in the Constitution. It has been folded into the First Amendment of free speech. And then there is certain segment of the courts over the years have put certain segments of what the First Amendment of free speech means. Freedom of assembly, freedom of privacy, freedom of and then there's that part of freedom of association that the courts have ruled in favor of. And there have been many examples in the courts. If you are being a part of the PATC family is a freedom of association. You don't have to be here. I don't have to be here. We have freedom. We have freedom of association. But in a private organization, nonprofit private organization, which these conferences are today, there is, the government cannot choose your membership, but that's what they're trying to do in this bill. Thank you, Lee Barden. I appreciate it. Thank you for the $5 holler. Let's go to your phone calls. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what is going on here.
Call from
Rick.
Rick, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, how we doing?
I am the very fat Paul Revere who's been riding on a horse that's about to collapse after a year of this, because the horse is about to collapse because of my weight and because I'm yelling and screaming and I feel that nobody's listening. And here we are at the end where the SEC is about to invade the colonies. I don't know. I'm just spilling out these things. Go ahead, Sir Rick. The floor is yours. I'm exhausted, sir.
Well, everybody knows that people in Minnesota don't eat the lettuce; they smoke it. But
yes.
on a side note, the what it appears your cartel is breaking apart.
What is my cartel?
It's breaking apart.
Oh, the NCAA.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting close, aren't we? We're getting really close.
And I really don't mind that the SEC uses Dellinger as their mule for Friday morning news dumps, because that everybody has somebody they use. The Big Ten has one, and Yormark has one. But why, if Dellinger's so brilliant, why can't he tell us about the SEC's plan for this new gig they're getting ready to form?
Well, I first of all, I think Ross Dellinger is incredibly good at what he does. Second of all, there are times where he cannot say what he knows. You are embargoed. That happens to me. It definitely happens to him at a greater scale. Third of all, he may not know what the next certain thing is that the SEC has got going. Like, the SEC might not have it all figured out, but Ross Dellinger has been told enough, and others have been told enough, that the SEC has been working on this, and they do definitely have a plan B that probably isn't quite finished yet, but maybe it is. But there are times where you cannot say what you know until it happens, and then you've got the story written, all ready to go.
And then they're not doing this. They're doing this for one purpose only. And it's because they're being forced to.
Who are the who that you're talking about?
The SEC.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there isn't... I mean, again, I asked the question, what is the option for the SEC? Nobody has an answer.
Well, of course not. There is no option.
Yeah.
They're being forced to.
Yeah.
And just like Kavanaugh told you 6 years ago,
yeah,
this isn't going to go on. It wasn't the players who wound up forcing them into breaking up the cartel. Now it appears it's a couple of senators looking to get reelected who are going to break up the cartel. But one way or another, they're not going to do it unless they're forced to do it. That's why they've been kicking the can down the road for 6 years.
Yeah.
The party is too much fun. Why would we cancel the party?
Yeah.
Because the police have shown up.
Or the beer has run out.
Or the beer's run out. Or everybody's eating the lettuce. One way or another, the party's over. And it's been over for 6 years. And all of the player involvement and the player contracts and the nil and everything else is all just evidence that it's long been over.
Yeah.
And it's got to come to an end sometime. This isn't Kurt Gowdy and and
Keith Jackson.
Keith Jackson football. This isn't even
Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow football.
Yeah.
And barely the retired head coach there from Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason he got out.
Yeah.
It wasn't a coincidence of a time to retire. He got sick of this stuff real quick. This is a young man's game.
Yeah.
It's just not the football we used to know. Now what lies ahead could be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I'd still like to know what they're going to do with all their other sports in the SEC. They're all going to play one another too?
Could be, sir. Wouldn't that be wild?
It's a pretty simple damn question.
I don't have a simple damn answer.
Well, I know, but Ross Dellinger should.
I don't think he has it either.
He could ask for the question.
I'm sure he has.
I mean, you got to have a plan. They've been thinking about it for quite a while. They got the geniuses at Ole Miss and LSU and everybody's working on it. God knows the Georgia presidency. Let's go. Go where? Go where and do what? With who? When? Oh, and about those playoffs. Oh, and hey, about that money, these players haven't been paid yet. Can we get back to that?
Well, I think that might be one of the bigger motivations of the breakaway, to be honest with you.
But what can you give us for an update on the money they haven't received?
I don't have anything for you, sir. Like I said, I had my horse is eating oats and barley, drinking water. I'm exhausted. I had to get help off the horse. My voice is going away. I cannot keep riding around yelling that the breakaway is coming, and Cruz and Cantwell and the Senators haven't listened.
Well, sometimes government miracles turn into government nightmares.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All righty, sir. Appreciate it. Beautiful call by Rick. Thank you, Rick, for calling. I want to apologize to Mama Duck, Ricky Tungate, Teller, OPD Dunn. I have not got to you super chats. We're going to get to them right now. I just got on a long-winded tangent. I did a little bit better than I thought I was going to do. I was really fired up when I read that Ross Dellinger article, and then I saw his post. And then when I reported we're going to do an emergency live show, I was not all that professional within the studio. So I'm gonna give myself a little bit of grace during this live show. I did better than I thought I was going to do. Not as good as a lot of you want me to do, to be more professional. But this should not be happening. Maybe it was inevitable that the SEC would break away if they do break away. I mean, maybe, but this Section 205 should not be in the bill. Nobody thought this was going to be in the bill. Nobody was thirsting for this to be in the bill, except for Cody Campbell, Smash Capital, and Maria Cantwell. Like, nobody else, like, Yormark, Phillips, the other conferences, that Section 205 was not part of the SCORE Act. It just got put in there because of Cody Campbell and Smash Capital and Maria Cantwell. This is going to ignite. And the Southeastern Conference is not sitting there with no gasoline. They've got a lot, because when they blow this sucker up, they're going to blow it up. Mama Duck, Clemson Tiger, $5 holler. I know Jim Phillips says he doesn't want teams. He don't want the ACC, but behind closed doors, he is cheering this on. Thank you for the $5 holler, Mama Duck, Clemson Tiger. I apologize that I did not get to this earlier. Thank you. I appreciate your generosity, your kindness, like always, Mama Duck. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it. We got Mr. Hoosier, Ricky Tungate, $5 holler. Now, Ricky, super chat. Ricky Tungate, I threw some elbows at you the other day. Well, not at you, but I threw some elbows at your Indiana Hoosiers. You're defending reigning Big Ten champions. You're defending reigning undisputed national champions. October 31st, Ricky, October 31st, a miracle is going to happen We've got Teller. Thank you for the $5 holler, Ricky Tungate. Appreciate it. Hold on, everybody. Hold on.
Call from
G-Man.
I'm sorry, I did not get the name.
G-Man.
G-Man?
Yes, sir.
Can you hold on for a moment, please? I got more super chats to get to, and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Is that okay?
Nope, no problem.
I appreciate it. We got a $5 holler from Teller 580. You pretend to like college football, but you salivate at the thought of the end of the sport with your BS breakaway talk every day. Thank you for the $5 holler, Teller 580. I appreciate your support and your point of view, I guess. It's inaccurate, but that's okay. Everyone has the ability to put down their opinions in the chat. I'm talking about a breakaway because the threat, it's been real for quite a long time here. So I've been trying to give you the peek around the corner. And now if you listen to if you read Ross Dellinger's article today, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm trying to be as accurate as possible at Teller 580. And again, I'm against the breakaway. I want the 2014 playoffs. So I would disagree with your assessment of the fat guy from Minnesota in this program, but you are free to have that. You are free to have that opinion. Thank you, Teller 580, for your generosity. I very much appreciate it. We've got OBD done. $25 holler, my goodness. OBD done. The windows are open and the oxygen is rushing in, feeding the smoke which has now turned to flames. What will be left, we just don't know, but the drones in the air and the tape will show the carnage. We'll watch later. I could not have said it better myself. I could not have even attempted to say it in the way that OPD Dunn illustrated in his very kind super chats. The oxygen is rushing in, which is going to make the flames grow higher. No question about that. The drones are in the air. And I don't see any water planes up there trying to put out the fire, which is about to happen. I don't think they're setting up for that. OPD Dunn, thank you for your incredible generosity as always. Thank you for all your kindness to this program. We've got the Indiana Hoosier super chat. Greg, if you have to eat a cheeseburger, just call in sick that day. You guys won't let me get away with that. That's the problem. You won't let me get away with that. You say you have to eat the cheeseburger the next day. Now, I got to eat a double cheeseburger with 2 types of cheeses if this bill passes. And right now, they do not have the revisions that satisfies the SEC and the Big Ten. I don't know how this bill passes in the House for sure. So I don't really have that much fear in eating the cheeseburger. Thank you, Ricky Tungate. I appreciate it. Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours. Let me know what you're thinking.
Yeah, Greg, thanks for having me. I have a pretty simple question. As you know, we've been talking about this quick strike potential. If there were if this bill were to move forward. And my question for you is, it seems like the SEC wants, North Carolina is their primary target, and North Carolina also has a lot of issues in trying to get out of the ACC due to the governmental aspects of their governance. And also, they seem to have a lot of questions about whether they want to. There's a lot of mixed feelings. If there's no North Carolina, if North Carolina were not to be involved in a near-term expansion by the SEC, would the SEC expand without North Carolina?
Wow. That is a great question, and I do not have the answer for that.
What's your gut? Is this a situation in which, I mean, everything else, I think you talk a lot about the combinations of schools that one can grease the wheels for the other to get somebody in. But ultimately, it seems like North Carolina is the one that greases everyone else's wheels to even get them into the SEC.
I would say yes, that the Southeastern Conference could expand without North Carolina. Yes. But I think that might change up their... My answer is yes.
Okay. Would it be if, since North Carolina and then Virginia, you talked about being the second really selection of preference for the SEC, if neither of them, looks like Virginia's probably off the board, at least for the near future, there's still then the potential of SEC expansion. Let me throw this hypothetical out at you. I'm sorry for maybe throwing too many hypotheticals out there. But
I'm not going to have a good answer for you, but go ahead.
All right. If there's no North Carolina, there's no Virginia, and there's no quick strike situation, since if this thing doesn't come about in the way that would require a quick strike, is there SEC expansion without North Carolina or Virginia?
There could be, yes.
Okay, cool.
But,
well,
I could be wrong, but I think there could be, yes.
Well, we all could be wrong about lots of things, and this is, as you mention all the time, a continuously fluid situation.
Yeah, well, nothing's done, nothing's signed, nothing is imminent. Well, that whole nothing is imminent thing could be that might be changing here if we sit here tonight or tomorrow, Saturday or Monday, it could happen tonight where there is a revised bill that comes out, and it's going to be given to the SEC and the Big Ten, and then they leak it. And if it doesn't satisfy the SEC and the Big Ten in that Section 205 thing, I don't know, man. Who knows? I mean, nothing would surprise me after that when it comes to the word imminent. So,
right.
But as of right now, I don't believe anything is operational or imminent.
Let me ask you this one, and I'll give you one last sort of question of sorts. I know that you'd had this discussion with the FSU money perch about the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, and there being some sort of move by him to have some influence in this whole thing. It'll be interesting to see, one, whether after this new bill is put forward, whether that there seems like DeSantis had any role. But two, was there any discussion of? I mean, the governor has a very short lifespan here as the governor of the state of Florida. I mean, he's a lame duck at this point, but he has really. I mean, in Florida, I think it's they do inauguration, January 2nd, of the new governor. Is this more of he thinks that he has influence with Washington Republicans to try to get something done?
No, I think he has influence.
Influence as the governor.
I think he has influence among. The belief was he had influence among those consulting Cantwell and Cruz via via Cody Campbell, because Cody Campbell and Ron DeSantis have been in on this. And there was a thought from people in Tallahassee that Ron DeSantis was going to try to massage that Section 205 to try to satisfy Florida State's interest and Florida's interest while also satisfying the interests of Cody Campbell. And I don't know I don't see a needle that can be thread to satisfy all those things.
If the,
that's why there's
reports of
parameters.
Ross Dellinger are right, and yeah, I think you're right that doesn't sound like there's much that might be able to be done on this one.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, thank you, Greg.
You got it. I appreciate it. Great call. Finely tuned. $5 holler. Greg, wake up. The goal is to take college sports out of the American culture. Too much happiness in coming together in fun, in toughness. Thank you so much, Finely Tuned, for your generosity. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Helping us keep the lights on and growing the channel. Thank you, Finely Tuned. All right, the phone lines are open, 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. Yogi Buck, the NCAA is dead as we know it without congressional help. True. And if the NCAA is dead, what is the Southeastern Conference option? If they're not going to break away, what is their option? What is their other option?
Call from
Rock and Rant.
Rock and Rant, the floor is yours. How you doing, sir?
Well, I'm glad you do longer monologues and go into things deeper so that I can take my degree of being infuriated down at least 4 degrees to like 100. and feel free to shut me up and get off because we don't hear other people.
You're fine. You're fine.
I'm sitting in for you tonight so I can rant again later. But a couple of things I wasn't going to say before, but just listening to calls and comments here, right? First of all, Russ Dellinger, and this, I'm going to bring this over to you. Russ Dellinger, I don't think he's a mouthpiece for anyone. He happens to just probably be the actual best college football reporter that is in the country right now. I don't mean a columnist. I don't mean a personality. He gets things because he knows how to do his job, and it's actually unethical for him to release things that people say to him off the record.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to get information from Ross in any form, you got to respect that. Although everyone likes to take their shots at the media and press, and I'm pretty much exhausted by all of that Twitter sphere BS anyway, of all of that. He does do it in his way, and we all kind of know what Plan B is by the tea leaves, and if you wouldn't be watching this show if you didn't have an idea what Plan B was. So I don't know what everybody is wondering about. They're not talking about some over-the-counter pharmacy pill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the same thing for and listen to Greg. I mean, I know things, and I'm not Greg or Ross that I literally can't say because I'd be betraying somebody, and I know for a fact that they're true in life, right? In general, that you don't betray because you want to keep knowing things, including when you have the opportunity to like act on something.
Yeah.
So I think that's an unfair criticism. And I think the other thing too is the shots that are coming at you directly or indirectly that you're in glee over all of this and the breakup. That's absolutely ridiculous as well. Talking about what's happening in the world in reality or what could happen about a topic that you're generally passionate about and explaining it is not the same thing as freaking advocating for it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's unfair stuff. And it can't be like you're okay with a set of rules or a principle when it works in your favor and not. So like for me, start off, I just want to set my stage because I mean, I literally took notes because I'm just like so infuriated about all of this. Clocks on all of their houses, right? To start. Congress, Ted Cruz, the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC for sucking, John Swofford for cutting a bad deal, Miami for sucking for 20 years, making the ACC not as strong as it could have been to get them in a better position, the Pac-12 for being incompetent, agents for taking advantage of kids, all of it, every single thing. Clocks on the billionaires for over-indexing. But I like mine right now because it's the only thing keeping them surviving from a $50 to $60 million revenue gap in the media deals. Props to everybody who's complaining that their school can't do it. Hello, Boise State. You're going to tell me that they have a gazillion billionaires and millionaires behind them other than the blue carpet? They still, as a G6 school, figured out a way to get into the playoff and be relevant 18 years ago. So look in mirrors first, and also stop assuming that people are advocating for your destruction when they're explaining a situation from an informed point of view and giving them a taker opinion that might ultimately be wrong because things move all the time, right? So that's my preamble. I'm not here to defend the SEC. I don't want any of this all to actually happen. The only thing I personally care about at its baseline, at the most basic line, was the school that I root for that has wandered in the wilderness after being successful and is now back. I don't want to have to rely on a billionaire to make up a revenue gap for that program to be relevant in the future to compete with the aspiration that we have about trying to get a national championship again, or God forbid, an actual ACC title. Because I don't want to have to worry that that person eventually becomes Cody Campbell and becomes a toxic lightning rod, or decides one day that, hey, that $60 million gap that we're helping you mitigate from the media rights deal alone, let alone Ohio State filling 110,000 seats with 750,000 alumni, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm going to go buy a soccer team. Oh, by the way, one of ours did, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to have to rely on that. So that's the only reason that I hope that Miami winds somewhere else, not because I wish that the groundwork had been laid that way. But I also love college football, period, right? I like getting shots online for doing a video or doing a post about North Dakota State, who I would never have paid attention to if I didn't love college football. I wouldn't be sitting there like making my wife a widow on Saturdays from 6 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the morning every single Saturday during this season. Like, we all live for essentially 16 weeks, 16 days, 17 days, 12 days, depending upon your school all year. Yeah. But we're still going to talk about it because it's like infuriating and fascinating at the exact same time.
Yes.
So there's a little bit of a rant, and whatever, rip me, I don't really care. Yeah. I don't mean you in the chat, whatever.
Yeah. You forgot to mention Pox and the Minnesota Golden Gophers for not being able to complete a modern day forward pass for 40 years. But then I want to add that to the list.
I think that one kind of already exists. I don't feel that bad. The thing that I thought was the most interesting in Ross's article was not the fact that there wasn't a plan B explanation in detail, because if you watch the show at all, we have an idea what that framework would be. And you might be wrong, Greg, but you're probably 50% right, or worse. But whatever. Like, the biggest thing was that it said the SEC might do something with or without action soon. With or without action, either if no bill happens, they might do something, or if the wrong bill does something. If a wrong bill passes, gets through the Senate, maybe doesn't even get to the House, because I know that there's a different level of leadership there that might not want it. Yeah. But just that act, the fact that the SEC, and I'm going to presume potentially the Big Ten, is at that point that inaction is possibly as much of a trigger as action, if that's true, and there's only one Goldilocks solution for the SEC of the three beds that they could lie in, is kind of wild, right?
It's a revised bill that would, that the SEC and the Big Ten can support. If that can pass, then then we don't have the breakaways, right?
Right.
But other than that, we're about to have the breakaway. I think that's where we're at, right, sir?
Yeah, that's what it feels like at this moment. And Smart people look at the things and that they hear and they make an analysis, and then as the facts change, your opinion and views can change. That's where I stand today. A week ago, I thought that this had no chance of passing. 3 weeks ago, I thought that this might actually get through. It's all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And one day the stock market does or does not change what I think the media rights deal for the SEC or Big Ten could be in the future, just because Netflix has crappy reporting after hours one day.
Yeah.
This is, to me, Greg, and I know you're a history guy and not everyone's seen the movie, but this feels like the college football version of the JFK movie 13 Days, where all of this is just different language that you're interpreting one way or the other out there, some of it very direct or some of it not. So that's kind of what I think about it. I would say that the other things I just kind of wanted to rant on was the SEC. They should have the right to associate with whoever they want, whether I like it or not, whether I like how it got here or what I like what will become of it. I'm not going to change that. I see the stupidest fact-free things posted on social media every single day, but I will defend to my dying breath your right to be an idiot online and free speech, period, right?
Yeah.
So, and that, because that's the First Amendment. And then you take it down to like who they want to hang out with, let them do it. Now, maybe they're not limiting all of these. We don't know what these new theoretical restrictions will be, so how bad it is or isn't for P4 to move. So like I'm pausing on whether that's the thing. But I would say this, a couple of things. If the SEC breaks away, they have that right to do that. Be careful what you wish for. I realize you guys have dominant TV ratings, and you have a ridiculous amount of passion of your fan base in your territories and elsewhere because your alumni are everywhere, right? And people, the one analogy I would give, and then I'll counter it, is the Premier League. Literally nobody here has a team near them, and the ratings are growing because the sport's growing and passionate about soccer.
Yeah.
The flip side, though, is some degree of the ratings growing for the SEC is about the fact that your school, your conference, if you're a conference kind of person, and I'm an ACC guy, so I'm not a conference kind of person because I just don't care.
Yeah.
Other than to win the title once, to shut everybody up.
Yeah.
Part of the interest is what could happen. Will we meet them in a bowl game? Will we meet them in the playoffs? I want to know who's going to be ranked in the top 12. Are they going to push my team out? Are there 4 good SEC teams or only 3, or are there 6? And if you go silo, and let's assume the playoff contract exists for 5 or 6 more years and they don't break it, eventually people might start losing some degree of interest in you because it doesn't touch their world whatsoever. It has no impact on them. And there are substitutional things that could be in that time slot that matter. The reverse of that might be if you're the SEC and you are going to go silo, and if you're somebody who thinks that the SEC would go to 18 or go to 20, I think if they go silo, they would go to 24. Why? Because you want to get as much market share as you possibly can if you're only going to be playing in an insular world for a while, right? Just to mitigate the possibility that somebody on the West Coast might not care about it as much about you because you're doing your own thing all the time. So, the bill is not perfect. I think there are parts of it, and you and I would probably disagree on some. The 5 for 5 codifying that, I think that's great. Trying to get some degree of stuff for agents in is great, but I don't think the language they have in right now actually will solve the problem. I think it creates a different problem. I'm not for the one-time transfer rule, but I'm fine if they enforce a contract. I think a student should be able to transfer if they're not to have some massive NIL deal or a contract that does that.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that, sir.
Right. But if you have a contract, great. And by the way, you want to do employment, great. So I don't know. It's going to be super interesting. I don't like creating rules for one set of people in the exact same class just because one's bigger. Like there's a reason why we used to have Walmart, Kmart, and Sears. They were all essentially the same in some form, right? 2 of them died because they ran their business like the Pac-12 and the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But the rules that they all played in were essentially the same. When somebody put in restrictions or zoning laws for a big box store, it could have been a Walmart or Kmart. Somebody chose wisely, somebody chose poorly. Anyway, I'll pause. I don't know if you have anything you want to say.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to.
Rant.
I think you were kind of saying this, and I kind of said it earlier. I don't know how to say this because my vocabulary is of a 3rd grader. No offense to 3rd graders who are watching this program, but I'm a grown man who doesn't have much of a vocabulary. if the SEC breaks away, it could not. It might not work for the Southeast. It might not work. The schools may not even. They might not even pay attention to their own rules, and they have a governance problem, whatever. Or the TV ratings fall, like you just said, right? It might not work. And in my mind,
probably will, but it might not.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the thing I'm trying to get to. The Southeastern Conference breakaway might not work for the Southeastern Conference schools. And I happen to think if it doesn't work for the Southeastern Conference schools, I think everybody else is going to be suffering as well without having the Southeast, you know? Right. But if the Southeastern...
It could be a lose-lose situation.
Yeah. But if the Southeastern Conference breaks away, they go to 2024 teams, they actually adhere to the rules, a school gets punished and they say, yes, we'll pay the punishment, and the TV ratings don't slide down because you brought up the example of the Premier League. And if they break away, they expand and they break away and they gain new markets and they do everything that they're planning and they have player compensation and they may have some sort of CBA somehow, some way, and it all works. Well, you can't get that toothpaste back in the tube, and that may not be good news for everybody else, with possible Big Ten as an exception. So it doesn't work, not good news. It does work, it's not good news. You know what I'm saying? News. Go ahead, sir.
But and think of like SEC. Like, let's say that they break away and go completely siloed, right? They just play against themselves, and I don't know, and they try to put on whatever a fake national championship, or they still send a team to the playoff. Like, I don't know, right? There's contracts and all that stuff. But let's say regular season, they're essentially siloed, and everybody else is, you know, and Big Ten maybe goes like half siloed because they seem to do half-ass of whatever the SEC decides to do on some levels, right? Or at least, you know, maybe publicly.
Yep.
But they still play other teams. So the SEC says our cap is $24 million. You can only transfer once, but Congress never codifies that. What do you do if you're the ACC and the Big 12? I make the most player-friendly rules I could possibly do.
Yeah.
If you go play in the SEC, you can only transfer once. So if your coach is a jerk and you don't get to play, you're kind of stuck. So then all those guys, if my rules are more lax than yours and I get you equal access to TV, maybe not better access, but equal, I can still get you into the NFL. Their salary cap is $25 million. Cool. Ours is, we have a $3 million SEC salary exemption for transfer students. Like they can keep game theorying this all out to figure out what competitive advantage. Because if you go in, not letting your own rules exist across everybody and getting screwed up in court is really, really bad, right? Which is what we live in right now. Yeah. Having your own set of rules that competitors that are pretty close to you, even if not great, like imagine if, Walmart had it actually sort of happened. Amazon and Walmart were really going to become competitors one day, right? But in the early days, Amazon had advantages. They had no taxes over shipping over state lines for the same thing that you had to pay taxes on Walmart. Mm-hmm. And that helped Amazon get bigger than Walmart in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. So like having different sets of rules within the same industry of near peers is also potentially dangerous and could create its entirely own new wild, wild west. Because do you think that Alabama and Ole Miss and LSU are going to be super thrilled that the SEC conference rules make them start losing players and or recruits to the ACC, a league that they think is inferior because the player rules are more friendly? As a competitive response to a silo, like all that stuff could happen. I mean, you'll have show content forever, and I'll shut up and let others talk. But there's thoughts and rants on this insanity.
No, it could release a whole new wave of innovation if we go on that side.
Innovation or destruction, whichever way.
Destruction. Oh gosh, yes, absolutely. Thank you, Rock and Rant. Beautiful call, sir.
Be good.
Yeah, you too. Unbelievable call by the man, the myth, the legend. Rock and Rant. SEC breakaway inches closer to reality. Why are we saying that on this beautiful morning of July 17th, Friday? Because Ross Dellinger's article of this morning, and we went through his article. We're going to go through your comments. Very kind super chats have popped up. We're going to go through them. What a day. What a day, and it's only just begun. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and ring that notification bell, because you don't know when we're coming on next. I don't know when we're coming on next. There's a very good chance we're going to be doing another live show later this evening, especially if that revised bill comes, it gets published, then we're definitely going live. And again, I apologize, San Diego State Aztecs. We are going to do our spotlight on you as soon as we possibly can, but we're not going to be able to get to the San Diego State Aztecs today. We've got 2 more spotlights. We've done 78 of them. We've got 2 more to do, the San Diego State Aztecs and the New Mexico Lobos. So brace for impact on that. We've got a super chat from Andrew French, $10 holler. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it, sir. Very kind super chat from Andrew French, 1823. We've got Studzilla, a member for 8 months. Holy smokes. Studzilla has been a part of the family now for 8 months. You officially are knighted Cloak and Dagger College Football. Thank you, Studzilla. As a 3rd grader on my 12th try, I can say your vocabulary is just fine. Let's say it's limited. Let's say it's very limited, and let's just keep it at that. You combine that with my Minnesota math. You combine that being re-elected mayor of Louisville City, Christopher Hooter. $5 holler, the purple and gold, the LSU Tiger. Thank you so very much. Super chat, $5 holler. Nice analogy by the caller. College football version of the Cuban Missile Crisis, except missiles might actually fly with these conferences silos. Absolutely. Thank you for the $5 holler. I appreciate it, Christopher Hooter. Rock and Rant mentioned that. And when I was back in St. Cloud University, I was a political science major, speech communications major. We had a study that Cuban Missile Crisis. John F. Kennedy, throughout that whole crisis, behind the back channels, behind the cloak and dagger, behind intermediaries, made sure he allowed the Soviet Union enough space to back away, to give them an exit, ramp out of this. Now, I don't remember everything that I read, but that was one of the major points of the Cuban Missile Crisis and how John F. Kennedy handled that. But here's the thing. Who's John F. Kennedy in this drama? Is it Sankey? Is it Ted Cruz? I had some optimism a couple of days ago. I thought maybe that revised bill, and maybe it's still true, would give what the SEC and the Big Ten needed, which was sovereignty and to be treated like every other conference. But yet there'd be enough in that bill to satisfy the interest of everybody else. Now, I got a feeling on this that Cody Campbell still wants to be a major player in this, and he's probably going, no. The SEC and the Big Ten, we cannot allow them to have a free reign of what they want to do in the future. So I think they're going to try to thread the needle here, and I don't know if there is space for that. I think a missile might be flying here pretty soon. I think we're getting awfully close. I do want to thank Heartbreak 25, Osceola Trucker, Christopher Hooter, Mama Duck, Ricky Tungate, Teller 580, Lee Barden, OBD Don, Finely Tuned, Andrew French, Studzilla, and again, Christopher Hooter, for your incredible generosity, helping us keep the lights on and grow the channel, giving us the opportunity to have our space to be able to put on a live show early this morning and quite possibly put on another live show later this evening. Mohr After Dark, who is Ted Kennedy in this scenario? You talking about who's going to drive off at Chappaquiddick Bridge? I don't know, man. All I know is I am the fat, overweight Paul Revere who had a horse collapse underneath me, riding around, not saying the British are coming, but riding around on my horse that collapsed, saying, the breakaway is coming, unless you do something here. We need protection, antitrust protection. We need to be able to form our own rules and enforce our own rules under the NCAA umbrella so we can all remain together. We can all remain together. That is why I've been for the Army of 24, the playoff of 24. I'm not a siloist. A siloist? I guess that's the phrase. I'm not for a silo. I've been doing everything I can so we don't go in our silos. But there's always that one question that nobody has an answer for. What is the SEC's option? The silo might not work, but this sure isn't working. What is the Southeastern Conference option? And the one thing that I'm sure of, and I have been sure about this for over a year, none of this has been an idle threat. None of it. Since the House settlement, after the day of the House settlement, the SEC always had this true bullet loaded up. Before the House settlement, no, not really. But now, this breakaway can become a reality. And the latest reporting of Cruz and Cantwell, let me show you this once again. For those who just joined us, who are questioning why we're having this live show, I'm just going to put this post up one more time. Ross Dellinger this morning. It is critical juncture. It is a critical juncture in the history of the college sports industry. Without passage of a revised Senate bill, the Southeastern Conference leaders are preparing. They've got it ready. They're going to pull the trigger. Are preparing a plan B. A self-governing model in which the league enforces its own rules and perhaps, maybe not at the beginning, or maybe it does happen at the beginning of the silo, and perhaps even competes against its only owned members. And how that affects everybody, woo! How that affects the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, woo! How that affects the Big Ten Conference, because they're going to have to follow it up and go their own silo, woo! I want to thank you all for joining us on this live show, July 17th. Again, keep your head on a swivel. We're going to have to probably come on live later on today, especially if that revised bill gets formalized, gets released today on a Friday evening. We are going to be coming on live. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you ring that notification bell. Before you leave, smash that like button or smash that thumbs down button. If you believe I am salivating for the silo, if you believe this has been my goal the whole time, this has been my goal for destruction of college sports. Smash the thumbs up, smash the thumbs down, make your decision, but just smash away. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please you all take great care of each other, and as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.